Hey everybody, David G here, founder of the Internet Marketing Party, and I'm really excited today to be bringing you our special guest for our 5th anniversary party, which will be on Thursday, September the 19th in Austin, Texas. So our special guest today is somebody who will be flying in all the way from New Zealand. So he's literally, right now I'm recording this interview on Sunday evening at 8 p.m. and it's...
Yeah, just after 1 p.m. here.
So just a quick thing, a couple of things about Blair. Blair has been online for about 10 years. Is that correct, Blair?
This is making me feel old. I think since 1999.
99, okay.
So, yeah, that's a
So
long time.
you do the math. And
Yeah.
Blair has his primary website is called numerologist.com, and through that website he's built a list of, at one point it was over 2 million subscribers, and he was just telling me that he scrubbed it recently, and now he's down to a measly 1 million subscribers.
Doesn't sound nearly as cool. But,
So what we're going to talk about today for you viewers at home are the 3 hardest lessons that Blair has learned on his way to building a 2 million subscriber email database that then he pruned down to 1 million. And they say size doesn't matter. However, one of the people that really made this connection strong is one of the original co-founders of the Internet Marketing Party, Michael Lovitch, who Michael and his wife Stacy and Blair and Wendy love to party really hard. And they both had this idea that it's like, it's one thing to have a 1 million person list, but Blair has this amazing skill at winning contests, those launch contests, and being in all the leaderboards for not just in the new age and kind of numerology space, but he also wins them in the survival space, in the personal development space, in the health and fitness space. And so most people that have a database, they only can win a launch in their own very specific niche or marketplace. And so he's going to share with us at the party, and maybe even share some insights today, and how it is that even if you've got a small list of, let's say, 50,000 or 100,000, it's one of the things I asked Blair, like, what if for some reason you only had 50,000? Do you think you could still leave a mark? And he said, yep.
Totally.
So anyway, so with that, I'll, Blair, what are some of what's your entrepreneurial journey, by the way? How did you end up being an entrepreneur?
I was a software developer, and I coded behind the scenes for probably about 7 years. Then I decided to actually use those skills to go online, which I don't know if that was an advantage or not, because I ended up doing everything myself. And so I became a terrible outsourcer, because I would do all the coding, all the marketing, all the copywriting, you name it. So I've since managed to outsource the coding, but that's kind of how I got started.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
you know how to get behind the scenes, lift the hood up, and get yourself dirty.
Yeah, when I have to.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I will also say this is his very first interview he's ever done anywhere. He's usually a behind the scenes kind of guy, and
Very much so.
so I really want to acknowledge you for taking time out of your day and doing something that I know you've never given anybody the privilege of doing before. So thank you for that. And I'm
My
sure
pleasure.
one of the other things we talked about is how when we were prepping for what you would talk about, you said, man, when I got started, there was nothing online. There was no options, no tricks or techniques. There was no shortcuts. So those of you...
Yeah, also being from New Zealand, it's so remote. I think the Internet Marketing Party and events like that are just so awesome for people to be able to network, to exchange ideas and everything else that goes with that, because I was sort of stuck out on this little island by myself, kind of like a desert island, and had to basically figure out everything the hard way, which is not necessary nowadays.
Right.
So very cool thing that you put together.
Thank you very much. And we have a lot of great success stories of people who, just from coming to the parties, just from watching our speakers talk, they've had huge trajectories in their business that allowed them to do all kinds of great things. So thank you for being part of that. And one of these days, I'm positive someone will write me an email saying that their interview with you or that your talk on the party inspired them enough to become the next internet millionaire. So
That would be cool.
yeah. So Let's get started. What you said you want to talk about what some of the hardest lessons you've learned on your way to building this list and being a top leader in the affiliate info product space.
Well, I guess it kind of happened by accident that because I was way out in New Zealand, I didn't really know anybody. And because of that, we started with cold traffic. And I didn't know there was anything else. A lot of people will say, let's do a joint venture before they've actually done cold traffic. And I didn't know anything about joint ventures, didn't know anyone, to joint venture with. And so we did everything with cold traffic, basically, or 90% Google AdWords, plus the other ad networks out there, sorry. But that, I think, turned out to be a good thing. And that's something that I would recommend. Because if you can get your offer converting with cold traffic, then of course warm traffic is going to be that much better. A lot of partners out there, if you approach them with a non-converting offer, you don't want to burn your bridges there. I think by proving your offer with cold traffic first, then you can progressively start to ask these people, say, look, it converts on AdWords and here are my percentages and this sort of stuff. Should we run a test? And I think that gives you a lot more credibility.
Nice.
So that kind of happened by accident, but as I say, it ended up being a good thing.
Yeah. What are some of the resources you used, or if somebody has no idea how to get started or intimidated by buying traffic, what would be some of the pointers you'd give somebody that just, they've only ever done JVs, or I know a lot of the big players that even you do JVs with that are also on the leaderboards, all their traffic comes from affiliate, from, doing swaps with other people that only do endorsed traffic. So, I'm not even talking just about new newbies. So what would you say to somebody that's kind of stuck in the JV game or still hasn't even figured up from down?
Well, probably everybody says this, so this is not an original answer, but nevertheless, my answer would be just spend $50, $100, whatever it is, and get Perry Marshall's basic guide as a starting point. Because that will probably teach you 80% of what you need to know. As well as that, is I would say go very, very wide with your keywords. A lot of people, when they start out, they have maybe 100 different keywords in your AdWords account, and that's not going to cut it. You need thousands, many, many thousands. Because then you can really cast a wide net and figure out what does convert, stuff that you probably would not have expected.
Yeah.
Rather than this tiny little niche of your 100 keywords that you've set that, they might convert, but they may run out of steam. So
yeah,
I think you want many, many thousands of keywords, and it takes a long time to put them all into ad groups and stuff. But I guess there's automated tools out there. We've kind of done it over the years, just progressively. They say, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. So just get started.
All right. So that's so one of the biggest lessons you learned was by accident, and that was start with cold traffic. Learn cold traffic, learn how to convert cold traffic. Awesome.
Yeah, even if it's not on a massive scale, even if you're just making a little bit, but it's enough to show people and to show yourself that your offer can and does convert. Because then you don't embarrass yourself by getting someone to mail for you and it's a complete flop.
So what if someone spends $50 to $100 online and it doesn't convert? What's step 2?
Well, that actually leads probably into the next thing that I learned. And that was that, in my case at least, be aware of your limitations. I tried to become a great copywriter, and I spent ages on it. But at the end, I was never really better than mediocre, maybe a bit above average, but I was not an awesome copywriter. And so one of the big turning points for us, we actually hired Gary Halbert to write our copy. Now, that was at a time, it was a lot of money, more money than we probably should have spent or could have afforded.
For those of you at home that are been living under a rock or just got started, Gary Halbert, that would be the equivalent to hiring. I don't know who you could have hired that was better. Gary Halbert, may he rest in peace.
He's the guy.
Arguably one of the most notoriously successful copywriters that's ever lived. So, wow.
An awesome guy, a really awesome guy.
Yeah.
And he just had this amazing talent. He really did. And, I bought all of stuff. In fact, I bought just about everything that I could on copy. I consumed it. But it's really hard to become an awesome copywriter when you're trying to do everything else. So that actually was really quite illustrative. when you're trying to write the same sales message year in, year out, trying to tweak it, trying to improve it, and then you have someone like that come along and do his magic on it, you learn a lot. Like, so this is how it's done. And so this is probably one of the most immediate takeaways that I noticed was the name of your product. I think most people test 100 different headlines, or if they don't, they should, but they basically come up with a name for their product, and that's it. I would suggest not to do that. I'd suggest to test the name of your product.
Interesting.
Because it can make a profound difference.
Yeah?
So he just added spice to them. And when I look back, our product names, I can't remember them right now, but our product names were so boring, they were just a description of what the product was.
It was like,
and he
how,
made
how
the
numerology
name of the product
can change your life or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And he made the name of the product more like a bullet point. And so it's just totally intriguing with a real hook in there. It's like, ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, like one of ours, we did an astrology report many years ago, and this was one that I can remember. And technically it was called the Lunar Return, and that's obviously all about the moon, and we called it, dumbly enough, the Lunar Return, which not a very enticing title. I mean, okay, that's pretty embarrassing. Is probably one of the world's worst titles. So he just renamed it and called it something like How to Stop the Moon from Giving You Trouble.
Whoa!
And so, yeah. So
that makes me want to read it. Like, what the hell does that mean? Like, what's, just the curiosity alone. Like, what is this?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we had 10 different bonuses, and they were all named basically on what they offered. And so he changed those to 10 really spicy bullet points. And all you really need is one of those bullet points to totally hook the person, and that's enough to get them to convert, to take up your offer.
Very, very cool. So the first one, the first tip, the hardest learned lesson was start your offer, start buying cold traffic. The second one is if it doesn't convert right away, hire a copywriter.
If you can afford it. And I mean, we probably couldn't, but even a good critique. There are some great guys out there that for $1,000, $2,000, I don't know if that's in everybody's budget, but if you're serious about this game, I would invest in it, even if it is a lot of money, because you can get so much information on a 1 hour call or even a half-hour call.
Wow. So, man,
so
all the copywriters that come to the Internet Marketing Party and that are fans of the Internet Marketing Party are going to take this video and like spread it far and wide. Like, this is how Blair Gorman built his list. He hired a copywriter, and you should too. So, very cool. What a powerful endorsement for copywriters, and what a great tip for folks that, and even if someone is struggling and they don't have $1,000 or $2,000 for a consult, maybe they might even have a skill that they could barter or trade or do something to add value to a copywriter. So it depends on where somebody is, right?
Absolutely. And, if $1,000 is a lot of money, that's fair enough. I would say don't judge the value based on the time. Try not to have the mindset, well, $1,000 for 1 hour? How can that be fair? Because it's not the amount of time. These guys have spent years honing their craft, and it's the amount of value you can get. We've done some consulting with a bunch of people, and when you get one of these guys on a roll, in just 15 minutes, it's like, whoa, hang on, slow down. I've actually got enough information. Can we schedule the rest of the call later? Because I think I've got everything I need. So,
you want to break up that hour into 4 15-minute chunks?
Exactly, yeah. So I would suggest if you could come up with $1,000 to maybe get a critique from a top-level person rather than try and get a sales letter written for $1,000, because I think you'll get better results that way. That's in my experience.
Wow.
Because an A-level copywriter, you're not going to get them for $1,000, I'm sorry to say. I wish you could. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys charge a ton, and they're worth it. But, of course, you've got to work your way up to that.
Sure, absolutely. Like, who'd have thought that was going to be one of the biggest tips you would say is, and that was a game changer? Or was that just complete, hockey stick growth after you hired Gary to write your copy?
That was one of the key pivotal moments. That's for sure.
Interestingly enough, like it seems like everyone who does really, really well online has something that happened that just took their business at you just got to stay at it until you figure out what it is. But awesome.
But I remember it was quite some years ago, so it was before you could do everything online. And I actually remember today, standing at the bank filling in the form for that transfer because it was so much money. It's like, oh my God, am I insane? But it paid off.
Wow. Wow. Well, very cool. What a cool story. Are you in touch with any of his sons?
I've connected with Bond just a little, but not
Yeah.
personally. I definitely want to.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure they're familiar with us, and we've got a lot of mutual friends in the industry. So, yeah.
Well, if he ever sees this, hello, Bond, because I'd like to catch up.
Good
His father
stuff.
was an awesome guy.
All right. So, what's the third hardest lesson or most valuable lesson you've learned in your online marketing journey?
This is something that we do probably more than anyone else. And so it's actually probably segues into something that I'd like to talk about at the party, and that is personalization. Because that is something that virtually nobody does, and we do it like to a ridiculous degree. Um,
What does that mean? I mean, I know what the word
okay.
personalization mean, but give me some examples.
Well, back when I very first started in this, doing this, it was a neat trick to be able to actually put in someone's name in the subject line of an email. So it would say, "Hi, David," and then the rest of the headline. And of course, everyone got immune to that, and that doesn't work anymore. Maybe it does a little, it's still worth testing, but now you have so much information on the actual person. Even if you just use a service such as Aweber, there's so much information in there that you can utilize, which most people just ignore. For example, you've got their area code, you've got their longitude, their latitude, their postal or their zip code, their area.
Even if they don't enter it?
That's right, yeah. Now, some of this is stuff that we've done, and some of this is stuff that we're currently doing. But for example, let's say you were to sell a car to someone. This is something I touched on when I was chatting with you the other day.
Yeah.
Would you take the exact same sales approach with someone that lived in Beverly Hills as someone that lived in the Bronx? Not to pick on any areas, but I probably wouldn't. In fact, I wouldn't even try and sell them the same car. For example, Beverly Hills household income, I just looked up, there's a site, the US Census site, average household income of $290,000. And just a random example, Cincinnati, average household income of $36,000. So why is it that we have this information? We can figure out if someone's earning this much money or earning this much money. Why do we send everybody the exact same marketing message? In fact, why do we even try and sell them the exact same product with the exact same offer? So my suggestion is to use that data and make them different offers based on their spending patterns, on their demographics. And this is all publicly available information.
Wow, I've never heard anyone talk about this at this degree. Interesting, and so that kind of starts answering how it is that you're able to win launches. And I mean, you win launches and everything from Mind Movies, Mind Valley, so that's personal development. But then you also win launches in the Elevation Group, which is more financial and survivalist, and then you win launches in the health and wellness industry. So that
we use, that's just data that everybody has, but we collect additional data. And we use that to really personalize. Because our industry is numerology, it's based on someone's birth date. And so they enter that information as they opt in, and then we have that information that we can use for marketing. Now, I didn't use that as an example because people could say, well, they're in numerology, that doesn't apply to us. And so that's why I use the other stuff. But it's probably a good question to ask, what information could I collect for what reason, and then how could I utilize that to improve my marketing?
Yeah, it becomes a matter of going beyond the surface level and thinking, how could I make it relevant that I'm asking a question that will tell me a lot more about this lead than just their name and email.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So for people that are interested in the demographics, just type up Census Fact Finder. I think it's factfinder.census.government or something like that. But it's amazing what's available publicly. And this is probably an exaggerated example that, again, I mentioned earlier. And that's, you have their longitude and latitude, for example. Now, why would you sell them an umbrella if you know it's sunny where they are right now? And, of course, don't take that literally, but it means look to what people are likely to buy based on that information, which nobody does. In fact, I think the very first person to write an awesome personalised sales letter was Gary Halbert with his coat of arms letter. Now, he didn't have all this data, But for anyone that's not read that letter, I would say that is just an awesome example to look it up. It'll be available online. Just study the psychology behind the personalization. It's just awesome.
Coat of arms letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is how to get you order your own coat of arms from your last name.
Exactly right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they mailed that back in the days of direct mail hundreds of millions of times. It was just an amazing success. And it's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, piece of sales copy of all time. Just the psychology is phenomenal.
Right. Wow, very cool.
I think maybe Bond or one of those guys was actually selling a course disseminating that letter. So if that's still available, I don't know, it would certainly be worth looking up.
Very cool. Very cool. We're gonna make a lot of the top copywriters a lot busier after this video goes out. and we should have set something up where they'd send you a second tier check or something for endorsing them. Moving back to the copywriter question real quick. What are the top 2 or 3 questions you would ask if you were starting over and you were looking for a copywriter and Gary's not around anymore and you couldn't get a hold of John Carlton, you couldn't get a hold of Clayton Makepeace, you know, so if you didn't necessarily have access to some of the biggest names, what would be some critical questions you would ask to make sure that you were getting the right copywriter for the right price for you?
I would ask what pieces they have written, if any, that apply to your particular industry, because there's various styles of writing copy. Some people specialize in financial, some people specialize in health, and just find out what the results are. If it's a control piece, meaning if it's the best piece of copy for a particular promotion that's still in use.
That tells you a lot.
Yeah, totally. All
right.
But also, again, I'm not getting paid to say this, but a lot of these guys like John Carlton, you know, they have amazing courses, and that's an awesome starting point.
Right. Well,
yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah,
I just I as soon as you started talking about copy again, I realized, you know, I want to make sure that the people are able to suck out nuggets from this interview so they can actually go and do something with it, as opposed to have a cool new idea, so they can actually, you know, as of the time when you come speak at the party, they can go, dude, I hired a copywriter since I watched your video and I'm making more money now. So yeah, what you're going to talk about at the party is can you just give people a highlight, a headline version of what you, I mean, it sounds like you're going to talk more about personalization.
Yes, and just various specific applications. I've given kind of the why here, but not the how. So I guess I'll be talking more about how. And also more specific examples on what to personalize, and just to really broaden people's horizons.
Yeah, and I hear something about you're going to start it out with a magic trick.
I wouldn't call it magic. More mind reading, I guess.
Mind reading.
Yes.
All right. So just a cool something that will leave people intrigued and inspired and in a place for optimum learning.
Very much, but it very much ties into what I'll be talking about. This is not an irrelevant thing I'm just doing for fun, even though it is fun. People will find out. I'll just say that.
All right. And this will be the very first time you ever do a speech in front of people, right?
That is freaky, I've got to say. Yeah, I mean, I hope I do an okay job, because first time.
Well, your maker's mark is what you like, right?
That's correct. In fact, if I look nervous and you see me there, just pass me a maker's mark. I'll be fine.
Awesome stuff. So, any other points or ideas you want to? Oh, I know one thing you talked about that we thought might be a little. It's been said so many times, but I almost discouraged you from saying it. But let's just go ahead and give folks, so that if there's somebody out there that's just, you know, hasn't got it in their head yet.
Yeah, I mean, if I can inspire one person to take action on this, and it is an embarrassingly simple thing, so I feel silly saying it, but that is start to build a list. I mean, everybody's probably heard that 100 times, and I'd heard it 100 times myself before I actually did it. And if I'd done it, it was just one of those things that it's like, yeah, I'll get around to that, I'll get around to it. Don't get around to it, just do it today.
Yeah.
Because the time that elapses between when you think you should do it and when you actually do it, you're losing so much money.
Right. Good stuff. Well, when we have you speak at the party, I'd love to share the story of how you approached Glenn Ledwell for your
That is a good story.
for your first JV. You already had at that point your list was about 2 million, right? So we'll just leave folks wondering about that story, but it's a really, really good story.
It was just the fact that I called up out of the blue. Anyway, yes, to be revealed.
Yeah, good stuff. So, any parting words before we wrap this puppy up and see you in Austin on Thursday, September the 19th at 7 p.m. at Six Lounge?
Just that it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm totally looking forward to it. As I say, I'm not a public speaker, so I've got to be honest. I'm not looking forward to that particular part of the evening, but once it's done, I'll be hitting the bar and look forward to meeting some of y'all.
Awesome.
It's
Good
St.
stuff.
Texas.
And we have Michael Lovich, one of the original founders of the party, who has since moved to Boulder, Colorado, he will be flying into town, and there'll be a lot of other folks in town that are going to be here for a special event that you're here for, and so it should be a star-studded evening. Make sure you register right now by going to internetmarketingparty.com/join, and I'll put the link down at the bottom down there. So get your tickets now, because we'll have a full house that night, and it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of drinking, a lot of learning, a lot of JVing, and a lot of wisdom in the room. So, Blair, again, I know that you were very reluctant about getting on the stage, so it means a lot to us.
This is true.
We're gonna have cake. It's our 5th anniversary. 5 years of doing this every month without a single miss. So we're really honored. And I know Blair says, because he lives in this little town in New Zealand and nobody really does a whole lot of stuff online there, he's Mr. Nobody back home. So he's not used to people recognizing him and being a big deal. He's always flown under the radar. So try not to make a big deal when you say hi to Blair. Just be like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And but again, thank you so much. You are a big deal, whether you like it or not, and we're really honored to have you. So,
well,
cheers.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see see everybody Thursday, September the 19th, Austin, Texas. Go to internetmarketingparty.com/join right now. Get your tickets and learn how to be on the top leaderboards, no matter the size of your list, with this funny little thing called personalization. See ya.
Cheers.